I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He is a procrastination coach, I should say, a productivity expert and motivational speaker, no other than Mr. Chris Abdi. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Chris, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Thank you for having me, Daniel. Yes, my name is Chris, and I am a procrastination coach, as you said. I help people to keep moving when they can't seem to get moving.
Yes, move, people. Be productive. So, what are the most common causes of procrastination?
I'm glad that you asked. There's actually what I do is we break it down into five main archetypes. So there's many archetypes, but there's five big ones. And the first one is perfectionist, right? So if you're a perfectionist and you're the perfectionist type of procrastinator, you need everything to be perfect, 100%. Right place, right time, right musical note, exactly the right pen stroke or exactly the right brush stroke on a piece of art. Then you have the warriors. These this kind of procrastinating is where you say, what if? It's always what if. I always give the example of mowing your lawn on Saturday morning. Get up at Saturday morning, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning. You know you have to cut your grass. Say, oh, what if it rains? Oh, it's bright and sunny outside. Well, okay. What if my lawnmower doesn't have gas? Oh, I always have gas. Okay. What if it's Saturday morning? What if, my neighbor doesn't like the noise? So you see, there's all these excuses we can give ourselves. And then we have the dreamers. The dreamers are one of my personal favorites because they're visionaries. They usually have these very big plans, but they get lost in the details, either because they don't know how to do it and they get overwhelmed, or they because planning can be really fun, but the actual doing can be really boring. So they can, lose sight of that. The next one is another one that hits really close to home, and I'm sure many of us can relate a little bit on some level, and that's the crisis maker, wherein everything has to be a crisis before we do it. So it has to be due tomorrow, or it has to be due right now, or I have a podcast in 5 minutes. Oh, I better prepare something. You um, yeah, the crisis maker. And the last one is one that normally affects us mostly in childhood. It's the defier. So the defier is just about autonomy. We don't like being told what to do. And actually, that one's probably the easiest one to get over, simply by taking your power back. Because what it is if someone tells you I have to do something, then we immediately get this resistance. We're like, no, what do you mean I have to do something? So we flip it around a little bit. We say, I choose to do this because, and you find the reason or the benefit of doing that specific action. And that leads into one of the biggest things in procrastination is your why. I mean, if you don't know why you're doing something, you're bound to be putting it off anyway. So when your why is high, your cost is low. Um, but to go into a little bit of the most common kind of causes of procrastination, it's almost always based on some sort of fear. So, fear of failure, fear of being judged, uh, even the fear of success, which sounds like it shouldn't be a thing, but it's a thing.
So, Mr. Chris Abdi, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. Thank you for empowering me. So, how does procrastination impact personal and professional success?
Well, procrastination can impact personal success, simply by, let me give you an example. Again, going back into my last years of high school, in the last 2 years of high school, we were told we had to do 12 art projects for our graduating mark. And guess who left them until, well, literally the day before they had to be presented. And so I was rushing out of my garage. It was a Saturday, I'm sorry, it was a Sunday night, 8 or 9 o'clock. and I'm just grabbing bottles and cans and paints and any garbage I can find lying around, caution tape. I even use toilet paper. Um, and I made these really, well, for lack of a better word, they were really pathetic art pieces, which actually was my saving grace. So what happened was when I got to this art exhibition is the proctor's from another school, and he actually just started in and started explaining the art pieces, what he thought they meant. I'm just like, yeah, very good, very good. And he said it was very reminiscent of pathetic art, and I said, I just came up with this on the spot, and I said, well, yeah, because in today's society, we're all striving for perfectionism. So is not to be perfect a new mediocrity? And he liked it so much that I aced the class. So in that sense, procrastination kind of helped me, but that was also kind of the worst thing that could have happened, right? Because then I had this sense of, almost like a mini god complex where, or I felt that I could leave something to the last minute, pull a rabbit out of my hat, and it would all be okay. And when we get that way, it works until it doesn't work. So in your personal life, I mean, procrastination can show up as not painting a fence. It can show up as not doing the laundry. It can show up as, not, initiating or terminating a relationship. In business or in the workplace, it shows up as staying in a job that you really don't like and isn't meant for you, or it shows up as, not doing the work that you find boring and things like this, things of that nature.
What psychological factors contribute to procrastination?
Certainly. So, there's often different psychological factors. There's often some sort of emotional avoidance. There's often some sort of, again, we mentioned the fear. Often there's also a sort of a temporal distortment. So sometimes we will tell ourselves something will take longer than it really will, or we figure it won't take as long as we think it will. Um, those are really the main ones. The emotional avoidance is definitely a big one, and that's where it kind of sidelines into distractions and even addictions, right? What we call as escapism. We find this a lot, and I've been guilty of the same thing, where
Also,
um, rather than do like a household chore or homework or something I'm supposed to do at work, I'd rather play a video game, right? Because the video game is well laid out. It gives you these nice little check boxes, and you do get a real sense of accomplishment, even though it's not technically real. So those are the main psychological components.
so how can we identify procrastination triggers help in overcoming them?
Right. So the first step to know is the why you're procrastinating. And a lot of times it's not the task or it's not the thing or the event that you're avoiding. It's one specific part. So if you find yourself dragging your feet on something, I can give you actually three different examples to illustrate this point. If you find yourself dragging your feet on something, figure out the why, and then if you fix that one piece of the puzzle, then you'll actually be able to do the task. And my personal one is, I'm not a big gym guy. I try to get out to my garage. I have a set of weights. Then my daughter got out of school, so for the summer, so I stopped going out there, and I was using my daughter as an excuse, right? Well, I spend time with her. We want to do fun stuff. When she goes back to school, I'll go back into it. First 2 weeks of school, 3 weeks of school, 4 weeks of school was okay, and then I noticed it started, dragging my feet a little bit. It's like, okay, let's look at this. Why am I not wanting to do this? And so, getting up early, check out. I always do that. Doing the actual exercise, I always do that. Going out to the garage, oh, the garage might be cold. And so if I fix that, now I no longer have that procrastination or that excuse. Another example I like to use it is with the laundry, right? So break it down into the steps. Throwing the clothes in the hamper or in that little bin. No, I'm fine with that. Putting them in the washing machine. No, I'm fine with that. Moving them to the dryer. Yeah, I'm still fine with that. Taking them out of the dryer, folding them, and putting them away. Oh, there's the problem. And so, there are different ways that you can handle that one. If you have a partner or someone else who you can maybe delegate to, that would be one way of handling it. But if you don't, then you want to find a way to make that particular part of the task easier for you.
So, Mr. Chris, this is a big question. Why do people often procrastinate on tasks that are important or urgent?
Well, again, it really depends on what the task or the thing is. Normally, if they're procrastinating on something that's pretty urgent, it could be one of two things. Um, Normally, it's some sort of unknown. So maybe they don't have all the information they need in order to do the task that they need to do, even though it's urgent. And that can cause you to not act because if you don't know how or what to do, then you're less inclined to actually do it. The other thing is that it's urgent, but it's urgent for who? The electric bill is late. That's urgent for who, right? I mean, it's not a problem until your internet gets cut or your power gets cut. So you know that could be one of the things that prevents you from doing that. Everybody procrastinates on the well. Okay, I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of us procrastinate on filing our taxes. Why? Well, because I mean it's technically urgent, but I mean, are there really any consequences to not doing it? So, that there's this big balance, right? If something is urgent and important, well, you have to find a way that it impacts you and it's important to you. That is one of the most important things is to find a way to make it important to you and to make it a way interesting to you. Because if you're interested in doing it, you'll do it. If you're not interested, it doesn't matter how urgent it is. If there's not a really big consequence associated with it, then you'll likely just keep putting it off.
So, how can a growth mindset help in transforming procrastinating into productivity?
Right. So we have a growth mindset. So when we talk about a growth mindset, we're talking about changing a couple of keywords. We're changing, saying for example, saying I want to do this, which is coming from a place of lack. It means you feel like you don't have enough of something. And when we're talking about a growth mindset, we're talking about learning, we're talking about motivating, we're talking about positivity, we're talking about again learning. So one of the easiest ways to have a growth mindset is to look around you and just say, "What am I missing?" Because we don't know every single thing. Like I'm in this room all day, every day, but I don't know every single thing about this room. I mean, you sit there in your room every single day, but I doubt you could say every single detail of what's in that room.
Yes, definitely agree with you, Mr. Chris. So, what role does self awareness play in addressing procrastination habits?
Right. Well, self-awareness plays a really big role because again, if you can find out why you're procrastinating, you can fix it. Like in that earlier example, once I fixed the heat issue in the garage, I didn't have any other reason to continue to procrastinate. If you're avoiding a certain task because it makes you feel uncomfortable, then you have to sort of analyze, okay, well, what makes you uncomfortable about it? And again, it's not the whole thing, it's one specific part of the thing. So self awareness is the key to actually, um, you know, getting on the path to getting over procrastination. Because if you don't know why you're doing it, then you're not going to know how to counteract it.
Very well said, Mr. Chris. Very well said. And what strategies can help in reframing procrastination as an opportunity for improvement?
Right. So if we reframe procrastination, we have to understand. I do want to take a second aside here and just say that if you're procrastinating, I mean, you're not lazy, you're not broken. Procrastination at its core. is a defense mechanism. It's maybe not a very well placed one in today's society, but it is not meant to hurt you. It's meant to kind of protect you from discomfort of some kind. It's really meant for danger, but I mean, we've, evolved in such a way that it's now any kind of discomfort, because we are creatures of comfort, right? So, what you want to do is you want to try and always to be doing new things, learning new things, upping your skills, and you want to be um, reframing procrastination in that again, you're not lazy. You are recharging your batteries. It's your body's way or your mind's way of saying, "Hey, slow down. We need to either have more information about this or we need to figure out why we're actually doing it." And if you can answer those two things, you can get over it.
How can a positive reinforcement encourage productivity over procrastination?
Oh yes, the reward system. I love talking about rewards. So you celebrate your small wins. So let's say that you have a bunch of tasks that you really don't like to do. You can actually make it a little game. Gamification is a big thing. There's actually a few apps out there that will do this. It's almost like those chore wheels. You put laundry, dishes, or other things on that wheel, and then you can input things that you actually like doing on that wheel. So let's say you have 5 minutes of reading, or say you have 5 minutes of watching your favorite TV show. So you spin the wheel, and oh, it lands on laundry. Okay, you do the laundry. Spin the wheel again. Oh, lands on your favorite show. Well, there now you get the reward for doing that item. Or the other thing you can do is give yourself kind of a maybe an allowance or something that you like. So let's say that you're procrastinating again on laundry. I just like taking that because it's something we all deal with. It's the never ending story, right? There's always laundry to do. So you, for say every 5 loads of laundry you do, you treat yourself to, I don't know, your favorite meal out or something. But the trick is that you do something that is rewarding for you and that you really like. And then once you sort of marry it to that task, you'll want to do that task so that you can get to that reward.
Very well said. So, Mr. Chris, what would be your advice for those people procrastinating right now?
Well, my advice would be to, do some self reflection, figure out what exactly is causing you to procrastinate. And, sometimes it's not always easy. Sometimes you might not even know why. It's just, you don't really feel like you want to. But knowing the why is very important. And also knowing your style is very important, which is why on my website actually, www.procrastinationstation.ca, there's actually a small quiz there. It's 8 questions, and you go through those 8 questions, and it will tell you which of those five sort of archetypes you're falling into, and it will give you a little bit of an idea of what to do about that. And then right after that, you can have a complimentary call with me, and we can discuss, those results, and whether you continue to work with me after that or not. At least you will know some more, and you will have the information you need to understand a bit more and work towards overcoming that procrastination.
Definitely. So, Mr. Chris, what is your short term and long term goals as a procrastinating coach?
Well, my short-term goals are I'm working on getting my book released. That should be coming out. Oh, they told me before Christmas, but I mean, let's be honest. holidays are holidays are not a time when a lot of things get done. My long-term goals, I actually want to start to get um, more awareness and more supports of this kind of information in schools. Um, it would be great if we could start right at kindergarten, but I mean, but I think that if we could start at about the sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, and into high school, if we could, equip students with these, methodologies, and equip students with, the tools to get aware of these things, then by the time they get to university, they won't have that issue. And when they get out into the, into the real world, real world, they'll be able to, get along pretty well without, well, hopefully without, procrastinating.
Definitely. And you are most welcome to come back and let's talk about your upcoming book.
Sounds great. I'd love to do that, Daniel.
Yes, and of course, to summarize or to sum up our discussion, what role does self-compassion play in breaking procrastination cycles?
Oh, well, self-compassion is very important because, again, you don't know what you don't know. And you're not lazy, you're not broken. But a lot of times when we get into procrastination, we beat ourselves up. We feel bad because we get those other labels. But you need to understand too that, again, it's at its core a defense mechanism. So on some level, it's actually trying to help you, and also to understand that we all do the best that we can with the information that we have at that present time. I mean, we don't go out and say, with this information, I'm going to do the absolute worst thing I can do, right? But we do what we can. We do the best thing that we can do. So if you can have compassion for yourself and just understand that, it's not happening because there's something wrong with you. It's more like a signpost, right? To really just alert you that something needs to be looked at. That's all.
Yes, Mr. Gary Abdi, thank you so much for empowering us about procrastinating. And I hope looking forward for your empowering books. And again, you are most welcome to come back and promote and let's talk about it. So, Mr. Chris, can you please invite our listeners to support your coaching, support your upcoming book?
Oh, for sure. If you follow my LinkedIn account, again, I'm the only Chris Abdi on LinkedIn. You'll be able to find me there or on my website www.procrastinationstation.ca.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Chris Abdi because if we support him, more coaching to come, more empowering books to come. So, Mr. Chris, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Pleasure to
More
be
to
here.
come, people. See you soon. See you next year, Mr. Chris.
See you
Just
next year.
email me and I will squeeze you